Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Live at 5. Live at 5 is a stream I do aptly at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on my main channel. On Fridays, we are going over to my second channel, Actively Unwoke, for happy hour. And oh boy, guys, do we have a doozy of a happy hour presentation tomorrow. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. On Saturdays, I rest. I take the day off. Sometimes I post clips and things, but on Sundays, I get right back up to do it again. We do effed up news on Sundays, regular streams during the week, happy hour on Fridays. It's pretty consistent. I like to keep content coming every once in a while, well, every once in a while being pretty much every day. So if you haven't seen me show up in your feed for a while, please double check. Make sure you're subscribed for me. YouTube likes to unsubscribe people from my channel every single night, like clockwork. Mysteriously, it always happens around 2 to 4 a.m. And I'm kind of a night owl. And this is why I notice these things, is I usually check in the wee hours of the night when I have insomnia and I'm looking at stupid things on Twitter and like playing dumb games on my phone that I shouldn't be playing and are probably keeping me awake because I'm looking at my phone anyway. And then I go and I check my YouTube subscribers. And then all of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden YouTube like my subscribers woke up in the middle of the night and said, Carlin is so horrible, we must unsubscribe at 3 a.m. in the morning en masse. Or YouTube just does that every night. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you have those notifications turned on. And of course, please mount that like button for me. So we've got it's an eclectic mix today in the show. We are going to start with the breaking news that Donald Trump is suing Hillary Clinton. You know, you just can't get enough of Trump v. Clinton. Now, we had Trump v. Clinton, the election. Now we're having Trump v. Clinton, the lawsuit. So we're going to read about what is going on there. Then also, we're going to look at apparently, we talked about Disney the other day on the channel. Apparently, conservative employees at Disney are pushing back on the woke activist agenda among some of their team members who obviously have not read the don't say or the well, it's not even the don't say gay bill. They haven't read the bill they're calling the don't say gay bill in Florida. We've got some conservatives speaking up. Of course, I always love it when people actually express themselves because expressing yourself is the only way you actually change things. So we're going to read the open letter that conservatives wrote to Disney. We're also going to watch this clip from Cory Booker yesterday in the SCOTUS hearings. Did anyone see this? I didn't even know what I had no idea what I was watching. This is one of those things that I watched when I had insomnia last night on Twitter. You can see I tweeted it at like 12 a.m. 12 a.m. right after midnight. This clip is insane. Cory Booker was having all sorts of feelings about this historic nomination. And so we're going to watch that and we're going to mock him relentlessly. And then, so for some weird reason, this MTV News tweet came up in my feed today. I think they're promoting the tweet. I don't know how exactly they targeted my Twitter feed for that type of promotion, but this clip is insane. It's talking about how the bimbo archetype is taking over among Gen Z and they're using it to fight capitalism. Now, I have always told you guys that the greatest enemy of the woke is not actually white people, it's capitalism. And apparently now the woke left is sending out bimbos. Literal bimbos. They're trying to reclaim the word bimbo in order to fight the deranged system of capitalism. We're going to watch this clip and we're going to try to dissect it together just for a little bit of fun. I've decided I'm going to start doing more reaction stuff on my Live at 5 stream. So if you guys have any clips or anything or YouTube videos that you would like me to react to, leave a comment. Reach out. send me an email, send me a DM on Twitter. I just enjoy doing the reaction stuff, and you guys actually seem to enjoy the reaction stuff as well. We did, of course, reaction video to Allie Beth Stuckey yesterday. Oh God, wasn't she awful? Oh, I've had conservatives whining in my comments like for the past 24 hours, being like, Carlin, how dare you? You were never really a conservative. And then I go, yeah, obviously. Even one of the people in my comments was like, Carlin, you are not a conservative. You are a libertarian. And I was like, congratulations on cracking the case. I'm literally the libertarian nominee for governor in New Hampshire. You sussed it out. I joined the Libertarian Party over a year ago, and you guys have finally caught up. Just so funny. Anyway, that's what we've got on the docket for today. And I promised you too. Oh man, I got to show you guys this. We haven't had a happy hour on my second channel in a couple of weeks. I know I've been busy. Last week was art weekend. I'm not sure what I was doing the weekend before that, or that quite. I don't know. We've taken some time off from happy hour. And so because we've taken some time off from happy hour, I wanted to come back with a vengeance. And we're not doing critical race theory tomorrow. No. We've done enough critical race theory. We're not doing queer studies tomorrow. No. We're going into the deep end. The last time we watched a fat activism presentation for happy hour, I was legitimately traumatized by that presentation with how crazy it is. See, here's the thing. So critical theory is this broad umbrella that encompasses a number of different areas, right? You've got the race stuff, you've got the gender stuff, you've got the sexuality stuff, you've got disability studies, and then you get into the shady world of fat studies. Now, the thing of it is the critical race theory stuff, it used to be the most crazy, right? But then all this attention got put on critical race theory, and they had to tone down the crazy. Do you guys notice that Robin DiAngelo has completely disappeared? When was the last time we heard from Robin? I mean, she came out with a new book, and it wasn't even that successful because it was attacking progressives and calling them racist again. It was basically a rehash of her other book. But we haven't heard from her in a while. You want to know why? Because Robin DiAngelo got caught on video one too many times saying all white people are racist, and also she's a white lady talking about racism. So we're not doing critical race theory because critical race theory had to tame itself down. But fat studies is still a bastion of insanity. It is crazy. And you know, one of the things that I've noticed, and I actually asked James Lindsay about this one time, I was like, James, why are all fat studies professors all amateur porn stars? Because they are. If you really go into the fat studies rabbit hole, you are going to discover that every single fat studies professor at universities, in this presentation we're going to watch tomorrow called Dispelling Myths, Fat Phobia, and Challenging Social Stereotypes, this was at the University of Minnesota. That's what we're going to be watching tomorrow. It was in 2016, so it's a little bit older. So we're really going back into the archives on this one. But one thing I've come to learn from fat studies is that literally every fat studies professor is also an amateur porn star. I'm not kidding. And how I found this out is I would go from their presentations to their Instagrams, where they're posting all sorts of crazy stuff. And usually on Instagram, they have some sort of link tree where they link off into their hardcore porn, which might be on places like Pornhub. I'm not making this up. Literally every single fat studies professor I've ever watched a video of has also been an amateur porn star. I have seen things I cannot unsee. I don't know why. I'm obviously like some level of like masochist, I guess. Is it sadist or masochist? I always forget. Like, what is the one where you're inflicting pain on yourself? Anyway, whatever the one that it's inflicting pain on yourself, like, that's what I am because I watch fat studies presentations. But tomorrow for happy hour, on my second channel, Actively Unwoke, that's youtube.com/actively unwoke, we are going to be watching this all together. Now, don't worry, there's not going to be the porn tomorrow. That only happens off of like Instagram, okay? But we are going to be watching this fat studies presentation from the University of Minnesota. That woman in the photo is actually in the presentation. That's not just a snappy stock photo. It's going to be a ball. We're going to do that for a happy hour tomorrow. You're all welcome. I do this work for you guys. I am of service for you. If you appreciate the work I'm doing with my Live at 5 streams, with my happy hour presentations, and oh god, we're about to jump into anti-woke fighting back next week. Like, I've been taking a little break, but the book launch is coming up, so I probably got to refocus on the woke stuff a little bit. We're going to be doing a lot of that. If you enjoy the work I do, I hope you will consider becoming a member and even a supporter in my locals community. You can join my locals for free at kb.locals.com, and it's a great thing to do if you haven't signed up yet, just for the free version, just because it gives me a way to keep in touch with you in case I get a YouTube strike or something stupid. That would be awesome. But if you want to support the work I'm doing and help me meet my goal, because I do have a goal this month, I would like 100 new supporters in my locals community by my birthday. Okay? So if you ever send in super chats on my channel and you're not a supporter in my locals, like, I mean, this is like the perfect time, right? Also, in the next couple of days, you can get 3 free months in my locals when you sign up for an annual membership. Membership in my locals at a supporter level is $5 a month. You can give more if you want to, but you don't have to. And for a couple more days only, it is $45 for the year, which gives you 3 months for free. I'm doing that to encourage as many people to join so I can meet my goal by my birthday as possible. You can also make a one-time gift. When you sign up for my locals, you get lots of nice perks, like our 2 community Zoom calls that we do every single week. We do them on Mondays at 7 p.m. and Wednesdays at noon. These are private calls. They are unrecorded. They're awesome. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. We welcome new people into them all the time. You will find, no matter who you are and what you care about, you will find a home in my locals community. We also do Bitchcraft once a month. That is on the second Saturday of every month. We get on a Zoom and we craft. We knit, we crochet, we draw, we paint, we play video games, we clean our guns, we do laundry, whatever you want to do. You can just come hang out. That's fine too. But that's on the second Saturday of every month. And then coming up this Saturday, in just a couple more days, we have a very special book club with my friend and regular on my channel, Dr. Howard Asher. Howard has written and released a new book called 2024 that is an allegory for what is going on in our time. It is a wonderful book, and Howard is going to come and discuss that with us on Saturday at 3 p.m. in my local. Still plenty of time to join. Again, this is a private Zoom call. This is not recorded. You guys are going to get a chance to interact with Howard, have a great discussion, ask him questions directly. That's all going on in my locals. If you would like to sign up for all of that and all the other fun stuff we're doing, we're actually, my locals members tonight, in about an hour actually, are launching a writers group. If you're a writer and you want help with writing or creative project, that's going on my supporter only Discord from locals. I'm super excited to be involved in that. I'm going to pop in just because I have so many plans for writing. I have like 3 Substacks I want to launch. And so I'm going to pop in with that to help get some help with my writing. If you're creative, you're going to be able to get that too. My locals is an actual community. We really do stuff together. We help and support each other. You can become a part of that by heading over to kb.locals.com/support and signing up. And I hope you do. All right, guys, let's jump right into it. Trump is suing Hillary Clinton and the DNC over unthinkable Russia plot in the 2016 election. Let's hear about what Trump is doing. Now, let's see. So I want to put a poll on YouTube. And listen, I'm broadcasting on Odyssey right now. I'm broadcasting on Rockfin. I'm broadcasting on Rumble. And I'm even on Gitter now. I'm really excited about having live streaming capabilities on Gitter. But if you want to contribute to the chat, in like the best chat is obviously on YouTube. I want to put a poll in here, okay? Do you think there will be a Trump Hillary runoff? I'm going to call the 2024 election a runoff in 2024, maybe a part 2. Trump Hillary part 2 in 2024. I would love for there to be a Trump Hillary redux. I think I would see the Trump Hillary matchup in an entirely new way this time. I think it would be pretty great. That question is in the chat on YouTube, and you guys can answer that while we read this article about what Trump is suing Hillary for. Former President Donald Trump on Thursday filed a federal lawsuit alleging that Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee were behind a wide-ranging, unthinkable plot to smear him and his 2016 presidential campaign as colluding with Russian officials in order to fabricate an explosive scandal and derail his bid for the White House. Well, here's my question. Like, Trump obviously won. He obviously won. So did Hillary actually hurt him? Are there damages involved? Because how is Trump going to prove that Hillary hurt him when he obviously won? In the run up to the 2016 presidential election, Hillary Clinton and her cohorts orchestrated an unthinkable plot, one that shocks the conscience and is an affront to this nation's democracy, reads the lawsuit. Trump's lawyers are always so dramatic. That's part of the appeal of Trump. Acting in concert, the defendants maliciously conspired to weave a false narrative that their Republican opponent, Donald Trump, was colluding with a hostile foreign sovereignty, the former president alleges. See, here's the thing. I just don't think. Listen, I love the entertainment value of Trump. I do. But I also think sometimes Trump does not do any of us any favors. Like, why are we dredging up the 2016 election now? How is this going to help Trump? Like, if Trump runs again in 2024, and I think that he probably will, how is this actually going to help him? How is this going to help any of us? I kind of feel like stuff like this is just a distraction, if I'm honest about it. The 45th president claims that the scheme concocted by Clinton and others falsified evidence, deceived law enforcement, exploited access to a highly sensitive data sources, and was so outrageous and subversive and incendiary that even the events of Watergate pale in comparison. Okay, here's my issue. I have been watching a lot of Scientology stuff lately. When Scientology issues statements, they do it in the most outlandish possible way that it makes it impossible to take Scientology seriously. I kind of feel like this sentence in this article, like from the lawsuit, where Trump is like, they are so outrageous, subversive, and incendiary that even the events of Watergate pale in comparison. That might actually be factually true, but it's presented in a way that just makes it seem outlandish. And because it's presented in a way that makes it seem outlandish, that makes it really difficult to take it seriously. Under the guise of opposition research and data analytics, an apparent nod to the highly controversial Christopher Steele dossier, Clinton and the Democrats sought to sway the public's trust, Trump alleges. Well, again, I have to ask, like, what kind of lawsuit is in this? And I'm on Team Trump, guys, just so you're aware. Like, between Trump and Clinton, when those are my only options, okay? When the option is to be on Team Trump or to be on Team Clinton, I am on Team Trump. I just don't understand what this lawsuit is because, what is he alleging are damages? To sway the public trust? Trump literally won the election. They worked together with a single self-serving purpose to vilify Donald J. Trump. Indeed, their far-reaching conspiracy was designed to cripple Trump's bid for the presidency by fabricating a scandal that would be used to trigger an unfounded federal investigation and ignite a media frenzy, claims the suit, filed nearly 5.5 years after the election in which Trump defeated Clinton. The scheme was conceived, coordinated, and carried out by top-level officials of the Clinton campaign and the DNC, including the candidate herself, who attempted to shield her involvement behind a wall of third parties. All right, let me go back to the poll. So it actually seems like most of you don't, well, yeah, most of you do not think there will be Trump and Hillary in 2024. I bet you're right. Sadly, I bet you're right. Let's keep reading this article. I want to find out what the damages are. According to Trump, Clinton, and according to Trump, Clinton, and the other Democrats, blinded by political ambition, masterminded the plot to spread false information, all in the hopes of destroying Trump's life. his political career, and rigging the 2016 election in favor of Clinton. Again, like it's just too outlandish. When the scheme failed and Trump was elected, the Democrats allegedly shifted their focus to eating away at the credibility of the Trump administration. Worse still, the defendants continue to spread their vicious lies to this day as they unabashedly publicize their thoroughly debunked falsehoods in an effort to ensure he will never be elected again. Aha! And there it is. There it is. That's why Trump's suing. Because Trump is going to argue that they're using it to try to prevent him from winning now. Because if Trump wasn't planning on running again in 2024, why would there be any concern at all about how this would impact his ability to get elected again? That's what this is really about. Sometimes you got to read between the lines. The filing alleges that the Democrats violated the Racketeering, Influence, and Corruption Act, the RICO Act. Well, that's an interesting perspective. Trump is seeking compensatory and punitive damages, claiming that he was forced to incur expenses in an amount to be determined at trial, but known to be in excess of $24 million and continuing to accrue in the form of defense costs, legal fees, and related expenses. Let's see who's named in the lawsuit. The Democratic National Committee, I'm a fan of them getting sued. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, John Podesta, Perkins, I don't know who that last name is, Fusion GPS, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, Christopher Steele. Well, that's a pretty good list of defendants. So we'll see how that goes. Overall, like I think that the biggest thing I take away from this lawsuit, and let me know if you agree, I think the biggest thing I take away is this is a sign to me that Trump is planning on running again in 2024. That's what this is about. I don't think Trump is going to be able to make the argument that this did punitive damage to him simply because, again, he won the election. He won it in 2016. I think that this is more about 2024. But sadly, I do not believe that we are going to have Hillary Trump in 2024, which I would actually dearly love. And that's because Hillary Clinton said she wasn't running. Now that's not to say, I mean, listen, women change their minds all the time. So maybe Hillary will. Maybe what they're going to do is they're playing coy. They're kind of putting Hillary out there bit by bit. She had her master class. She got a new haircut. She got a makeover, got all gussied up, and they're kind of putting her out there in the media bit just to kind of warm people up to her again. And she's going to play coy for a while. She's going to be like, no, I'm not running. I'm just going to support other people who are running. And then what's going to happen is at like the 11th hour, she's going to be like drafted or something, be like, Hillary, we can't possibly win in 2024 if it's not you. Because what they're going to say is like, Biden's obviously too old. He is obviously not going to be like a part of the 20, like, but that's not going to happen. It can't be Kamala Harris. Oh my God. That would be, I would actually, you know what? I kind of take that back. I would love to see Trump run against Kamala Harris. How crazy would that be? How amazing would that debate be? Can you imagine Donald Trump debating Kamala Harris? We'd bust out all the peanut butter whiskey on that debate night, I'll tell you what. So if it's not those two, I mean, maybe Pete Buttigieg, who I also think Trump would quite frankly destroy. It's not going to be any of these people. So what they're going to do is they're going to end up, there's going to be like a draft Hillary campaign, but it's all going to be coordinated and it's all going to be like orchestrated, but it's going to see, they're going to try to make it seem like it was on a spontaneous, like we just don't have anyone else. Hillary, it has to be you. And then it's Trump Hillary redux. I think that would be awesome. But at least right now she's saying no. This was on March 8th, so it was a little while ago, but let's hear what she had to say. Hillary Clinton is disappointing some politically active people, and it's not just her supporters. The political figure the right wing loves to hate made it very clear on Tuesday morning that she is absolutely not running for president again. That's a minor blow for the part of the Democratic base that wants her to make another try, but it's a bigger blow for Republicans who have raised a great deal of money over the years by warning GOPers of the specter of a Hillary Clinton presidency. No, that's not why. I'm sure the GOP is definitely upset that they wouldn't be able to raise money off of it. But I'm upset that Hillary is saying she's not going to run because I want to see this matchup. I want to see it. I really do. I think that would be I wouldn't vote for to be very clear, I wouldn't vote for either of them. I'm voting for Dave Smith for president in 2024. I am not voting for Trump. I'm not voting for Hillary. I'm voting for Dave fucking Smith for president in 2024. But I do think, oh God, hang on. New York Post just put a massive sound in my ear. Hang on. Okay, so I'm not voting for either of them, but I would love to watch it. Oh, Hillary also has COVID. Ha ha, too bad, so sad. And of course, Hillary released a dramatic statement. She was like, I am so glad that I took the vaccine. It would be much worse if I had not taken the vaccine. No, the 2016 Democratic presidential nominee and former Secretary of State said with a laugh during a Morning Joe interview Tuesday morning where Clinton was interviewed to honor International Women's Day. But I'm certainly going to be active in supporting women running for office and other candidates who I think should be reelected or elected, both men and women. There's a big debate going on about the future of our democracy, along with talk about the economy, climate change, health, and other issues, Clinton added. I will stay active in all of those debates. So we'll see. Let me put another poll into the chat on YouTube. Do you think Hillary will ultimately run for president in 2024? Yes, no. Let's see if you guys agree with me that they're going to do some sort of like draft Hillary campaign where it'll be like, Hillary, we just need you. We cannot live. We cannot survive without you. I think that that is exactly and precisely what's going to happen. All right, let's move on. Now, the other day, that's not what I wanted to move on to. That's what I wanted to move on to right there. The other day, where's my, oh God, my desktop is like going crazy over here. Okay, the other day, we spent a good long time talking about the woke uprising at Disney. But it seems as though not all of Disney's employees are actually woke, which I think is really great. And also something that, quite frankly, we could have assumed. Listen, in any organization, you have at least 30% of the staff that are pretty sane and level headed and generally have like a good attitude about things that are going on in the organization. At least 30%. Some organizations have more, but it's always at least 30% of the staff is not in any of these tribal things. They feel pretty good about what's going on. They're generally in good moods. The problem though is that those 30% of staff rarely express themselves. And so sometimes it seems like employees, like the woke employees that are always the ones talking, that are always the ones raising a fuss, sometimes it seems in companies like the only thing that exists are woke employees, but that's just not true. I have talked ad nauseum on this channel about the power of expression. What I mean when I say expression is that you talk. You say what's on your mind. You tell people what you think. The people in any organization with the most power are not the ones at the highest rank. They're not the ones with the fancy title. They're not the ones at the highest pay grade at the top of the organizational chart. The most powerful people in any organization are the ones who are expressive. So you know how in any workplace, tell me if you've experienced this in your workplace, you always have those guys at staff meetings. This typically happens at staff meetings, like the big ones where they get everyone together in like the lunchroom or the cafeteria or the big meeting room or wherever it happens to be. And there's always that one guy that every single time one of these meetings happens, this one guy gets up and he puffs out his chest and he says, here is all the things that are wrong with this organization and this plan, and I hate everything, and I'm a miserable person. Maybe he doesn't say it that overtly, but they always get up and give some sort of speech about everything that is wrong. And because they're the ones getting up and giving that speech, they've actually gained power in the organization. That's not to say that every single person in the organization agrees with that one guy, but through sheer virtue of that guy expressing himself over and over and over and over and over again, he actually has more power in the organization from a practical level than executives that never say anything. And so I love this. One of the major issues that I've had with conservatives over the last year or so is that they don't express themselves. Well, I mean, let's be honest. I had this issue in 2022 when we were trying to get conservatives to come out to rallies and they just wouldn't. Like the biggest problem that conservatives have is they keep their ideas to themselves or they express it in the wrong direction. Let me give you an example of this. Yesterday's stream obviously pissed off a lot of conservatives. I talked about how there was an article in American Conservative that basically said that conservatives don't want to work with anti-woke liberals. And what did I find in my comments and on my Twitter? Carlin, that's not all conservatives. You're generalizing. You're an awful person. You're obviously still a leftist. Now, do conservatives complaining in my Twitter feed or in my YouTube comments actually change the fact that American Conservative published an article with a big headline that said conservatives don't want to work with anti-woke liberals? No, that's not my fault. And it's not something I have the power to fix. So in this case, conservatives are misdirecting their anger. If you have a problem with the fact that American Conservative is telling people, literally in an article published on their website, that conservatives don't want to work with anti-woke liberals, commenting on my YouTube stream about how you think I'm a leftist is not actually going to change that thing. However, commenting to American Conservative and saying, what the hell are you doing publishing this? This is not true. We want to find allies in the anti-woke movement. We don't want to turn people off from voting for us. That is a productive expression. And this is the mistake that conservatives make. Either they don't express themselves at all, or they express themselves in a completely unproductive way that only turns people off. And so I was absolutely thrilled to see that conservative Disney employees have written an open letter urging the company to stay politically neutral. And I have that letter right here. We're not even going to read that New York Post article. We're going to read the actual letter that they wrote. And this is just as like a simple Google Doc. Disney employees open letter in favor of a politically neutral Disney. As employees of the Walt Disney Company, we believe in the dignity of all people. This is why we do what we do. We write stories. We make costumes. We act in parades. We run cruises. We stream movies. We make magic. We do this because our work contributes to a fountain of wonder that inspires joy, awe, and delights in guests and audiences of all ages. We are proud employees of the Walt Disney Company. We love our jobs because we get to share the wonder of life and human experience with millions of people worldwide. Doesn't that feel good to read that opening paragraph? Doesn't that feel good? However, over the last few years, one group of cast members has become invisible within the company. The Walt Disney Company has come to be an increasingly uncomfortable place to work for those whose political and religious views are not explicitly progressive. We watch quietly as our beliefs come under attack from our employer, and we frequently see those who share our opinions condemned as villains by our own leadership. That second paragraph is brilliant for so many reasons. First of all, what they're doing, they're expressing their displeasure with what's going on in a very even-keeled and not at all dramatic way. Now listen, like I may be dramatic on my YouTube channel, right? But you have to know when there's a place for drama and there's a place to be aggressive and there's a place to like smack someone between the eyes and be like, "Don't tell me what critical race theory is. I know what critical race theory is." There is a place for like the more bombastic presentation, and then there's a place to be calm. And when you are writing an open letter that you want your employer to take seriously, that's when you need to rein it down a notch. This is another mistake conservatives make. They see the left act crazy, and then conservatives are like, well, the left is acting crazy at work and making us do all these crazy diversity trainings, so I need to act crazy too. It's the only way. If the left can do it, then I can do it. No, you can't. I don't make the rules, man. But you can't get away with the same things. It is just the way it goes. You have to fight smart. You have to fight strategically. So, what they did in this paragraph is they used the same language that leftists use in order to express their beliefs, but they did it in a calm and even keeled way. The Walt Disney Company has been an increasingly uncomfortable place to work. The left says that all the time. This is just an uncomfortable place to it's an uncomfortable place to work for LGBT people. It's a comfortable place to work for anyone who is not white. So they appropriated their language and they did it well. For those of us whose political and religious views are not explicitly progressive. And then when they said about how like we've watched our views come under attack from our own employer, it's like I felt that right in the feels. I was like, "Oh." Because you got to understand, if the only people that their leadership is hearing from are the progressives, it might not even dawn on their leadership that they do actually have conservative employees. Might not even dawn on them at all. Let's keep going. The company's evolving response to the so-called Don't Say Gay legislation in Florida has left many of us wondering what place we have in a company actively promoting a political agenda so far removed from our own. The Walt Disney Company leadership frequently communicates its commitment to creating an inclusive workplace where cast members feel comfortable sharing their perspectives and bringing their authentic selves to work. That is not our workplace experience. Again, brilliant. It's using their own language and their own values against them in a completely calm and even-keeled way in which they look like the reasonable ones. This is so important if you're going to fight back in the workplace. This is so important. You cannot go crazy and unhinged when you're fighting back. There's a time for crazy and unhinged. This just isn't it. Over the last few weeks, we have watched our leadership has expressed their condemnation for laws and policies we support. We have watched as our colleagues, convinced that no one in the company could possibly disagree with them, grow increasingly aggressive in their demands. They insist that the Walt Disney Company take strong stance not only on this issue but other legislation and openly advocate for punishment of employees who disagree with them. An internal poll within the company went out a few months ago asking us if we felt accepted in the company. Many of us didn't complete it because the nature of the questions made us worry that the results of the poll could be used to target us for quietly holding a position that runs against the progressive orthodoxy that Disney seems to promote. The Walt Disney Company has fostered an environment of fear that any employee who does not toe the line will be exposed and dismissed. Now, here's what I dislike in that paragraph, and I understand why they did it. When I advise companies to do polls like this, I tell them you have to use an outside third vendor that is going to guarantee the anonymity of your staff. I'm going to bet that Disney didn't do that. And so, while I do understand the inclination to not respond to a poll out of fear, what I will tell you is that not responding to this internal poll put these conservative employees on the back foot. And this is like what conservatives do, right? When they're like, the election is going to be stolen anyway, so I just won't bother voting anyway. Like this is something I see conservatives do all the time. They're like, I'm taking my toys and going home. It's not an effective strategy. It takes you out of the process. It eliminates your voice. It eliminates your perspective. It makes you look like a sore loser. If you aren't willing to participate in the process, you're just continuing to put more bricks in front of you and create a giant obstacle that is going to be impossible for you to get around. You wonder why people like me think, "Oh, Jesus, the New York Post keeps playing like music in my ears. My God." But if you want your employers to take you seriously, you have to participate in the process. And I understand being afraid that the answers are going to be used to target you. But let me tell you guys a secret. Most of the time, when organizations are running polls like that, they cannot track the individuals who respond. Not all the time. Not all the time. I don't want to say it never happens. There are absolutely tools that allow you to tie an individual to a specific response. However, I am familiar with Most of the major survey tools on the market, I've either used them or have worked with clients who use them or have, seen demos of them from conferences or things like that. Most of the internal polling software that companies use, they do not look at who is submitting the individual responses. And I'm telling you this because if your company does a poll like this, I actually do want you to feel comfortable with an honest response because they're probably not universally, I cannot guarantee it, but they are probably not going to be able to tie your identity to that response. So don't be afraid not to respond because if all of the conservative employees at Disney had responded saying, we actually don't feel accepted in the company, then Disney would have that data. Because the conservatives didn't respond, they took their toys and went home and said, I just don't even know why I bother. They're not going to listen to me anyway. They're just going to target me. I'm just going to be a victim. I might as well just pack up and go. I might as well just lose. That's what conservatives do. I'm sorry. Because they didn't do that, Disney can now look at that poll and say, well, our polling data says everything is just fine. Why didn't you answer the poll? So they've tried to account for that, but I'm telling you that that's going to be an obstacle that they're going to encounter. All right, moving on. Much has been made of our internal efforts to reimagine tomorrow. That's their diversity, equity, and inclusion campaign. But as much as diversity and inclusion are promoted, the tomorrow being reimagined doesn't seem to have much room for religious or political conservatives within the company. Left leaning cast members are free to promote their agenda and organize on company time using company resources. They call their fellow employees bigots and pressure the Walt Disney Company to use corporate influence to further their left wing legislative goals. What I would have liked to see here, to be honest, is I would have liked to see a few concrete examples. Anytime that you can give concrete examples of what is going on and how it relates back to your point, the better. Because what they're going to say, what executives are going to say when they read that paragraph is like, what are they talking about? We're just trying to do diversity. What are they even talking about? Executives might actually not know what they mean by that. So when you're writing letters like this, if you're doing it anonymously, like be as specific as you can possibly be. For example, ESPN publicly promoted the walkout on air. That would be an example that you could use. For example, the Walt Disney Company made a post on their Instagram saying that they do not support this legislation. That could be a specific example. But the more examples that you can give, the better. In some cases, like probably what I would have done is I would have probably made like a separate list. Here are all of the reasons that conservatives might feel uncomfortable working at the Walt Disney Company. I would have made a separate list and had that list available. And make it as don't specifically identify or target a specific person or anything, but make a specific list of here are a whole bunch of instances. And the reason I would do a separate list is I would want that to be like an overwhelming amount of information. Not just onesies and twosies. You want an overwhelming amount of information. So it's like if you look at it and you're a busy executive who doesn't have a lot of time in their day, you're like, oh shit, I see their point. Or it makes sense that they would perceive it this way. That's how I would have done it. Meanwhile, those of us who don't align with this vision keep our head down and do our work without bringing our personal beliefs into the workplace. We've done this without complaint because we don't want to rock the boat, but the boat is being rocked, and our leadership seems compelled to reward those rocking it. Oh, I think I missed a super chat from earlier. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry, AD. I don't understand how you can be fat and a gymnast at the same time, but these fat studies people are gymnasts, gymnasts. Yes, they certainly are mental gymnasts, AD. That is absolutely true. I apologize for missing your super chat from earlier. Incognito, this is exactly correct. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. This is why the most powerful people in any organization are the ones who are expressive. Employees who want the Walt Disney Company to make left-wing political statements are encouraged, while those of us who want the company to remain neutral can say only in a whisper out of fear of professional retaliation. The company we love seems to think we don't exist or don't belong here. Oh, what a brilliant sentence. Why is this brilliant? The fact that they used belonging is a very big thing. The term belonging, this is another term that they use in like the diversity, equity, and inclusion space, but like belonging is like a legit thing. That's something that they care about. If an HR exec hears, I don't feel like I belong, then it's going to get their attention. This politicalization of our, that's not even the right word, but we're going to keep moving on. Why can't I speak today? You know what I meant. The politicization, there we go, of our corporate culture is damaging morale and causing many of us to feel our days with the Walt Disney Company might be numbered. Furthermore, as this politicalization makes its way into our content and public messaging, our more conservative customers will feel similarly unwanted. You can only pre-chat or vilify your audience for so long before they decide to spend their money elsewhere. Also a brilliant thing to incorporate that, because what they're doing is they're drawing what Disney is doing back to the bottom line. Working for the Walt Disney Company is a dream come true. We love being part of creating the magic that so many people around the world enjoy. Our storytelling is second to none. It resonates with people from all walks of life across the political spectrum. Our parks are the source of joy and inspiration that Walt hoped they would become. Every year, millions of guests escape an increasingly divided world to a place where they can relive fond memories of their past and savor the challenges and promise of the future. They do this alongside thousands of other guests that might not have anything in common with them other than a shared love of Disney. Like, oh my God, the person who wrote this letter is so smart, because now they've gone back up and they've said, here is the dream. We want to create a place where we all belong. We want to create a place of nostalgia and play and fantasy where we all at least can put aside our differences for a moment. It's brilliant. They're helping them to vision what it means when you stay politically neutral. They're helping them to visit the benefits of staying politically neutral. That is a really smart strategy. Anytime you can help someone kind of see a reality of something that you want to create, that's going to make it easier for that person to say yes to you. Auntie Kami says, Carlin talks about normalization and why righties need to start utilizing it ASAP. It's what we're speaking of here. I think that's true. I think I agree with you. I'm pretty sure. I mean, one of the things World Slugger says, I canceled Disney Plus after the CEO response. One of the things that might be smart for them to say is, how many conservatives canceled Disney Plus after these incidents? How many customers did we lose because we took a political side? And I think that they could also reiterate, we're not suggesting that Disney take the side of conservatives either. We're just saying don't take a side. The unique brand of family entertainment that Disney is known for is an objective good in this dark world. It brings people together and provides cultural touchpoints that even the worst enemies can unite over. At the height of the COVID lockdowns in the summer of 2020, when the country was fiercely divided over a range of issues, Hamilton provided us something to collectively celebrate. See, now they're giving examples. This is good. This is what I was talking about. At the end of an incredibly contentious election year, The Mandalorian was there to sue. How smart of them to include The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was there to soothe the weary nation with non-political entertainment we could all enjoy no matter who you voted for. When Disney takes sides in political debates, they deprive the world of a shared love we all have in common. The Walt Disney Company is uniquely situated to provide experiences and entertainment that can bridge our national divide and bring us together. You know what they did there with The Mandalorian? Is they gave a small nod to the Gina Carano scandal. They gave just a slight nod to the fact you fired someone for being a conservative, and it lost you a lot of Disney Plus subscriptions, and it didn't have to be that way. You all ruined something that we could have all enjoyed. It was just like the slightest, most subtle nod. And they know They know what they're doing. This is an example of like, listen, I know I've talked on this channel. We did a whole stream about psychological fuckery, okay? I am not above playing psychological games with people. And sometimes when you're playing psychological games, what you want to do is smack someone right between the eyes. You want to get in their face and be like, no, 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 no. You want to act like a leftist, okay? You want to be aggressive. But sometimes you just want to do the subtle nod. And I'm also seeing people like Brent. So, and you know, Brent, I'm enjoying your sarcastic chats, I have to say. But I also wanted to say this. Another thing that conservatives do is they cancel things or they boycott things without telling the company what they're doing. So a lot of conservatives canceled Disney Plus over the whole Gina Carano thing, right? Did they send an email to Disney Plus saying, "I'm canceling because you became overtly political"? Did they send any sort of communication to Disney saying, "I canceled my subscription because of X, Y, B, and Z"? When Bed Bath & Beyond pulled My Pillow out of their stores, I saw conservatives everywhere being like, "Boycott Bed Bath & Beyond." And I was like, "Did you write a letter to Bed Bath & Beyond and tell them why you're boycotting?" They're like, "No, why would we do that?" If you don't tell the company why you're canceling your service, the company doesn't know. You cannot assume that they know this stuff. You literally have to reach out and tell them, "I am canceling my service because of reasons X, Y, B, and Z." That letter will go into a file. That file will be read. You don't have you can even do it like from an anonymous like email account if you want, if you don't want to be identified. But if you don't tell them, "I'm not shopping at Bed Bath and Beyond anymore because you pulled My Pillow off your shelves and I don't like that," then they don't know. You have to reach out and tell companies why you're boycotting them. And if you don't, then you're just canceling yourself from using their products. And they'll never know why, and they'll never make any changes. And yeah, I mean, World Slugger, I totally understand. World Slugger says, "I didn't tell them because I didn't think it would matter, but I shouldn't care. Just tell them." Yeah, like what, like, so worst case scenario, if you reach out and tell a company that you're canceling because of reason X, Y, B, and Z, worst case scenario is that that email goes into the ether and no one ever does anything with it. But I've worked with these companies. I used to work, so when I worked at New Hampshire Public Radio, there was every single complaint, well, not even a complaint, every single letter that was sent in to New Hampshire Public Radio by a listener or someone who claimed they were a listener, whether they were complaints or compliments, and quite frankly, most of them were complaints. Every single letter that got sent in got put in a folder. Every single month, that folder went around to every director in the organization, and we had to read every single one of those emails. Every single one of those letters got a response. Every single time themes were discussed in meetings. So those letters and emails, they do actually go somewhere. Worst case scenario is nothing happens. Best case scenario is that Disney or Bed Bath and Beyond or Coca-Cola or any of these companies actually have to address the issues. Remember, when I broke the Coke Be Less White story, it got so much attention that Coca-Cola actually had to change their outgoing corporate voicemail. Like, these things do make a difference, but if you don't communicate to them, you can't expect them to make any changes. CEO Bob had the right idea in his original statement that he has walked back since. In Bob's own words, "We have seen time and time again, corporate statements do very little to change outcomes or minds. Instead, they are often weaponized by one side or the other to further divide and inflame." Disney is far more important and impactful to the world by avoiding politics than it will ever be by embracing a political agenda. By focusing on entertainment that inspires us with stories of universal appeal, we are doing good for the world. Disney shouldn't be a vehicle for one demographic's political activism. It's so much bigger and more important than that. More than ever, the world needs things that we can unite around. That's the most valuable role the Walt Disney Company could play in the world at this time. It's a role that we played for nearly a century. And it would be a shame to throw all of it away in the face of left wing political pressure. Please don't let Disney just become just another thing we divide over. I love it. I love it. This is an almost perfectly written letter. I would make a few changes, but really not many. Oh, Les Mortar, good to see you, dude. I've examined complaints processed specifically for big 300,000 employee plus companies. They categorize, analyze, and track the shit out of it. Trust me, she's right. Yeah, you guys have got to communicate. The big lesson from what Disney's conservative employees did here is communication. It might seem like a little thing, but there's a reason that I've been screaming for 2 years that masks were going to inhibit expression. Because expression, communicating, telling people what we believe and why we believe it, it is one of the most powerful things that any of us have. When we are expressing ourselves, we are taking control of the situation. We are putting ourselves in an empowered position, and we're saying that our voices and our opinions matter. And if we can't take ourselves seriously enough to say our voices and our opinions matter, why would we expect anyone else to take us seriously? Jenny's getting inky with it, says, I can attest that letters make a difference. I got a commendation because a customer wrote a letter because of great service. A great service I provided, and it made it to the head of my department and agency. Guys, people think that companies don't read these letters. They do. They really do. And again, worst case scenario, goes off into the internet ether and nothing ever happens. And, at least you tried. At least you made an effort. But you got to communicate with stuff like this. And kudos to the Disney employees. Yes, I know they did this anonymously. And, that's not something I'm thrilled about, because I do want them to be able to do it themselves. But I understand why they did it anonymously. And it made it into the New York Post. It made it literally into the New York Post. So the CEO of Disney is going to see this. It's in one of the biggest newspapers in the world. That's the power of expression. And maybe they got a few people to look at things a little bit differently. I heard that walkout wasn't really all that successful anyway. And so if they're getting that letter, and then at the same time, they're seeing, these walkouts may have seemed scary, because I saw all these graphics from all these anime icon accounts on Twitter, but not many people walked out, but the conservative employees seem to make sense. See, and then people like Jake want to come in and be like, nope, you're all going to get doxxed. No, that usually doesn't happen. Guys, you want to talk about like fear mongering, and Jake, no offense to you, because I understand why you think this way, but the fact is that that's not going to happen. Companies don't dox their customers, not as a general rule, and if they did, you could sue the ever-loving shit out of them. But stop making excuses. The reason I wanted to highlight this, not to put any shame on you, Jake, because again, I understand why you're saying that. But, people put so many obstacles in their own way. They put so many obstacles in their own way. Like, if you're in your head saying, if I send this letter telling them why I'm canceling my Disney Plus membership, they're going to dox me on Twitter. Listen, I've been doxed all over the internet. It's really not that bad. But don't make excuses for yourself about why you can't send a letter. If you care about things changing, then you have to send that letter. It's your obligation to send that letter. And they're probably, and the worst case scenario, like what if they did? What if they tweeted your letter? Who really cares? Trust me, as someone who has been the center of a couple of Twitter firestorms, it's not really that bad, and nothing usually happens long term, and people don't really remember, and it's really not that big of a deal. It could actually get you what you want. It could. The power in my house just flickered. Am I still live on the internet? Yes, I am. If my power goes out, it's not my fault. Sorry, guys. But yeah, you got to do it. You just got to do it. It's just the way it is. All right. Guys, if you're enjoying the show, I do this live at 5 p.m. on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on my main channel. On Fridays, we do go over to my second channel, Actively Unwoke, for happy hour. If you have not yet subscribed to Actively Unwoke, just head over to youtube.com/Actively Unwoke. It should be in the description below. Tomorrow, happy hour is basically a time. It's a little bit ironically named because it's not a happy hour at all. The only reason it's happy hour is because I drink. I'm going to go to the craft beer store tomorrow. I'm going to get some fancy schmancy beers. And then at 5 o'clock, we are going to be watching a fat studies, fat activism presentation from the University of Minnesota. Not just the University of Minnesota. The University of Minnesota School of Public Health. about fat activism. And so we're going to be doing that tomorrow on Actively Unwoke at 5 p.m. So we watch a woke training. I drink because I cannot get through these trainings without a little help, a little aid, a smidgen, as my grandmother would say. I hope you'll come and join me for that. It'll be a fun time. Oh, Cider joined the Young Republicans Club at his school today, and we're knocking on doors. Awesome, dude. Well done. Not learning how to knock doors is a positive life skill that will help you be a little activist in the positive way, because you're an activist for the good guys. All right, guys, let's see. You guys are gonna love this. Hang on, I need to turn the sound on. Share screen, Chrome tab. Not that one, that one. Okay. Did anyone? Oh, we have a poll. We had a poll about, do you think Hillary run for president in 2024? 54% of you say no. We're going to see. All right. Who in the chat saw this clip from Cory Booker basically crying in the Supreme Court hearing? We're going to watch it. We're going to enjoy it. I don't even know that I actually have like a whole lot of commentary for this clip, if I'm honest. That's probably not the thing I should be saying on a show that is supposed to be about commentary. I don't actually know that I have a lot of commentary on this clip. I just think it's really funny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down my volume a little bit because I expect I'm a little loud. And that way you guys can turn your volume up and we can all enjoy what we're about to watch. Hang on, I gotta.
How you got to this desk. That is the story of how you got to this desk. You and I and everyone here, generations of folk who came here and said, America, I'm Irish. You may say, no, Irish or dogs need to fly, but I'm going to show this country that I can be free here. I can make this country love me as much as I love it. Chinese Americans first forced into near slave labor, building our railroads, connecting our country, saw the ugliest of America, but they were going to build their home here and say, America, you may not love me yet, but I'm going to make this nation live up to its promise and hope. LGBTQ Americans, from Stonewall women to Seneca, hidden figures who didn't even get their play until some Hollywood movie finally talked about them and how they were critical for us defying gravity. All of these people loved America. And so you faced insults here that were shocking to me. Well, actually not shocking.
Like, she's crying too.
But you are here because of that kind of love. And nobody's taken this away from me. But don't worry, my sister. Don't worry. God has got you. And how do I know that? Because you're here. And I know what it's taken for you to sit in that seat.
Does anyone have feelings about what we just watched? What the hell was that? This is supposed to be a Senate confirmation for the Supreme Court. What did we do? My favorite part was when he sat and he's like, but I see you, and then he sat back quickly. Like, they're not gonna take this away from me. And then he looked at her with like awe. He was like, you guys know what I'm talking about? Hang on, let me rewind it a little bit. There's a moment that is just like my favorite thing.
Because of that kind of love. And nobody's taken this away from me.
Look at his face! He looks like he's on drugs. No one can take the Supreme Court nomination away from me. You are just so amazing. Judge Jackson, you are so amazing and beautiful. Did you guys notice? Oh, he absolutely rehearsed it. This was a whole speech. There was a draft of this. There was probably several rehearsals of this. You know the line that tells us that this was a speech that he pre-wrote for this occasion? so he could have this moment of spontaneous awe and wonder at this amazing woman who made it all the way to a Supreme Court nomination. And listen, like, I don't want to take anything, like, it is actually a big deal she got nominated for the Supreme Court, whether you like her, whether you hate her, whatever. But this was an act of theater. This was theater. And you know how we know that he was acting? I'll play you the exact line.
Love me as much as I love it. Chinese Americans first forced into near slave labor, building our railroads, connecting our country, saw the ugliest of America, but they were.
It was the Hidden Figures line for me.
America, you may not love me yet, but I'm going to make this nation live up to its promise and hope. LGBTQ Americans, from Stonewall women to Seneca, hidden figures who didn't even get their play until some Hollywood movie finally talked about them and how they were critical for us defying gravity. All of these.
How they were critical for us defying gravity. That was the line for me. And like, obviously the rest of it was obviously like a pre-written speech as well. But that for me was the line. It was like, the hidden figures who are responsible for us defying gravity and going to the moon. And again, I don't want to take anything away from the women who worked at NASA. That went largely unthanked, because that it's like, it's one of these, you know what it is? It's kind of like what I said with Scientology earlier. It's like Scientology says things in the most outlandish way that you can't take it seriously, and you shouldn't take it seriously. Donald Trump says things in the most or his legal team in this case says things in the most outlandish possible way where you can't take it seriously or shouldn't take it seriously. Cory Booker is actually making some reasonable points in this speech. Hidden Figures, Jake says it was a good movie. Hidden Figures was a fucking great movie. Hidden Figures was a great movie. And more importantly than that, the story that Hidden Figures told was a real story about amazing women who did legitimately break barriers. But Cory Booker says this in the most outlandish possible way, where he's basically crying and acting like like Cory Booker is a United States senator. He is a United States senator. This is what happens when you eat too much soy. I'm sorry, I know Cory Booker is also a vegetarian. Like, this is what happens when you consume far too much soy. And then she wipes away a tear. Let's watch. She wipes away a tear.
These people loved America. And so you faced insults here that were shocking to me. Well, actually not shocking.
I don't believe it was a real tear. I don't believe that was a real tear. Does anyone watch The Queen? That's that Netflix show. I love that show. That show's so good. I can't wait for the new seasons of The Queen. Anyway, there's an episode in The Queen. I think it's like the third or fourth season, where the Queen has to go to a town where there's been like a landslide and it killed a lot of children, and it was like a legitimate tragedy. And there's an episode in that one where she has to pretend to cry because people have told her that she's too unemotional. And so there's a scene where she comes out of the school and she just pats her eyes like she's wiping a tear. And then later in the episode, we find out that she didn't really cry. She just play acted because she thought that people wanted to see her be more emotional. And she thought that there was something wrong with her because she doesn't feel emotion like other people. And, I mean, she's part of the royal family. That's a whole other crazy ball of thing. But my point is that the patting of the eye, that subtle patting of the eye, I don't believe it was a real tear. I want to watch this again. Did she actually wipe away a tear, or was it fake? We can even do slow-mo. I don't believe there was a tear. Do not believe it. But we'll watch again.
You faced insults here that were shocking to me. Well, actually not shocking.
No.
But you are here because
of
that.
And the reason I say no, that's not a real tear, is that she like... No. I'm sorry. A woman who has already been through several confirmation hearings is getting confirmed for the Supreme Court. I don't believe that was a real tear. I don't mean to be a bitch. I don't believe that was a real tear. I think that was not real. I'm going to put a poll in the chat on YouTube. Do you believe she really cried? Yes, no. We're going to ask the community. Oh, this is a good question. When did she have that tissue? Let's watch while the poll is running. Let's watch the entire clip from the beginning and let's pay particular attention to that tissue. Okay? Let's do that. We're going to rewind.
That is the story of how you got to this desk. You and I and everyone here, generations.
She's holding the tissue.
Who came here.
She's holding the tissue right there. She is.
Irish.
She's prepared.
Say, no, Irish or dogs need to fly, but I'm going to show this country that I can be free here. I can make this country love me as much as I love it. Chinese Americans first forced into near slave labor, building our railroads, connecting our country. Saw the ugliest of America, but they were going to build their home here and say, America, you may not love me yet, but I'm going to make this nation live up to its promise and hope. LGBTQ Americans, from Stonewall women to Seneca, hidden figures who didn't even get their play until some Hollywood movie finally talked about them and how they were critical for us defying gravity. All of these people loved America. And so you faced insults here that were shocking to me. Well, actually not shocking. But you...
Why was she holding onto a tissue that entire time? Why was she giving testimony in front of Congress and she's holding onto a tissue that entire time? Did she cry at other points in her testimony? I didn't watch it, so I have no idea. Yeah. I believe that she was really crying as much as I believe that Mike Harlow really had cancer when he claimed to have cancer or claimed to be being tested for cancer on Twitter just to attack me and then never announced that he had cancer after it. I believe that she was really crying as much as I believe that Mikey Harlow really has cancer. How much of a shitty person do you have to be to make up a lie that you're being tested for cancer to attack someone on Twitter? I mean, I'm just saying. It is allergy season. You're absolutely right about that. So anyway, I just wanted to play this video because I saw this last night around midnight and I couldn't even with this video. And I wanted to share the wealth with all of you. But that's not the only video we're going to watch today. We're going to watch one more. You guys are going to find this one even more crazy than the Cory Booker one. I promise you. You're going to find this even more crazy. So again, if you've just tuned in, I, for some reason, had this MTV News tweet pop up in my feed today, and it was promoted. I don't know why they targeted me specifically, but this is from earlier this month. A new take on the bimbo archetype is giving feminism a makeover in 2022. And the conversation is taking a front seat this Women's History Month in music and pop culture. Yoon Jae Kim has what you need to know about this resurgence. So I don't know when the last time any of you watched MTV is. The thing that Victor and I do watch on MTV is The Challenge. We fucking love The Challenge. We like DVR The Challenge. But I don't watch anything on MTV other than The Challenge, because really, why? But maybe I should start looking at MTV's tweets or watching MTV News. I mean, it probably is like an interesting culture thing. I don't even think they play music anymore on MTV. What's even on MTV anymore that's worth watching other than The Challenge, obviously? But anyway, maybe we should actually start watching MTV News, like for happy hour and stuff, because this clip is legitimately crazy. Let's play. Let's learn why bimbos are making a resurgence. And I shit you not, they don't say this in the tweet. They're going to talk about how bimbos are fighting capitalism. Keep in mind, I've always said on happy hours, critical race theory is not about white people. It's about capitalism. It's all about destabilization of the system. They hate capitalism. Their number one enemy is capitalism. They don't want young people to like capitalism. Let's watch this clip, okay? Then we're going to talk about it.
In a modern world that insists on productivity and efficiency as capitalist ideals, the return of the bimbo is revolutionary.
In a modern system that prioritizes efficiency as a capitalist ideal, the bimbo is making a resurgence. They're actually trying to encourage young women to act stupid. Someone might ask, why is MTV proactively encouraging young women to act dumb? We've only watched 8 seconds. This video is 5 minutes long.
I'm Yoonj Kim, and this is MTV News Need to Know.
God damn,
From Kim
this is
Petras' new EP Slut Pop to TikTok influencers, many young people are embracing bimboism as a feminist and even anti-capitalist movement.
okay. Many young people are embracing bimboism as a feminist and anti-capitalist movement. They're encouraging young women. You remember the girl boss movement a couple years ago? Now, I was never really like in on the girl boss stuff either. It was basically telling women to act like powerful, like boss bitches and whatever. And while I do think that there is truth to that, if you want to be an executive, you need to act like an executive. I also think a lot of women actually really overcompensate when they're told just act like a powerful leader, and they become mean and they become nasty and they forget actually how to navigate social systems, and it doesn't work out. If you just go into an organization and you're like, I'm a boss bitch, you're not going to get anywhere and you're not going to get anything done because no one's going to like you, no one's going to want to work with you, all that stuff. I guess what I didn't anticipate as the backlash to the boss bitch movement, I didn't anticipate that MTV was going to go in completely the opposite direction and be like, you don't want to be a boss bitch. You don't want, because I guess boss bitches probably like embrace capitalism, right? This was the problem with this. When they told women to act like powerful executives, oh, you must be embracing a white supremacist capitalism movement. It was all too much about capitalism. Now they're like, no. We do not want you to act powerful. We do not want you to act strong. We want you to act stupid, to be a feminist, and to fight capitalism.
And they're giving it an inclusive makeover. The bimbo, historically defined as an
Bimboism is
attractive but
inclusive.
seemingly dumb woman, has been an archetype since the 50s and used pejoratively to describe Marilyn Monroe and Reese Witherspoon's Elle Woods. But in the last couple of years, the hyper-feminine spaced-out trend has come back thanks mostly to TikTok, and the definition has evolved. Influencer Chris H. LaPecca explains who the Gen Z bimbo is.
She's actually a radical leftist who's pro-sex work, pro-Black Lives Matter, pro-LGBTQ.
Doesn't she look like someone you want your daughters to model themselves after? Someone who is did she say like extreme leftist? Pro-feminism, pro-LGBTQ? Let's just watch that part again. Here's what it says. She's actually a radical left. A bimbo is a radical leftist. They're actually using that term on MTV. Are you shitting me? A radical leftist who's pro-sex work, pro-Black Lives Matter, and pro-LGBTQ. While wearing next to no clothes and laying on a bearskin rug. Isn't this for those of you who have daughters, isn't this the ambition that you would like your daughters to aspire to right here? Isn't that what you want for them? What does it say? Capitalism. Look what it says. Capitalism is the root of all evil. That's what she's writing in her book. What did I say? Critical theories, not about race, it's about capitalism. What did I say?
Leftist who's pro-sex work, pro-Black Lives Matter, pro-LGBTQ, pro-choice, and will always be there for her girls, gays, and theys.
Today,
and they're pro-choice, and they will always be there for their girls, gays, and theys. Girls, gays, and theys.
Bimboism is also a diversion from choice feminism, which is about the individual and more in line with community-based feminism, where we're uplifting one another.
Oh, look at that. Bimboism rejects individualism. What else rejects individualism? What other things do we watch on this channel that reject individual? She just said that this new form of bimboism, it's not about the individual. We don't like that. We would rather embrace the collective and lift each other up because it's about the collective. Because we don't like capitalism. We like the collective. What might they be pushing? I'm going to say communism. Do you know what else is anti-individualism? Critical race theory. All the critical theories, exactly. All the critical theories. Actually, they say in the documents that outline what a white supremacist culture is that were written in like 2007 that are still used like all over the place, they actually identify rugged individualism as a characteristic of white supremacy.
It's not just about skinny white blondes in pink lipstick anymore. Bimbo TikTok includes people of all different shapes, gender identities, and races. And
you don't even need to be a woman to be a bimbo. Bimbo is intersectional. They've already used the word intersectional in this video. You don't even need to be able to define a woman to be a bimbo. In fact, you don't even need to be able to define a woman to be a Supreme Court nominee. What a time to be alive.
Message is to do whatever it takes to love yourself and others, whether it's wearing a ton of makeup, going to therapy, or ending a toxic relationship.
It's just a movement based on love. We want to end capitalism because really, it's about loving yourself. Ending capitalism and rejecting individualism. Really, it's about loving yourself at the end of the day. That's literally what this video is saying.
And over the past few decades, this surge in girl boss feminism empowered and encouraged women to rightfully take on roles once stereotypically held by men. But now we're seeing a reconsideration of girl bossification as many young people are rethinking their roles in capitalism.
Told ya. Many young women are rethinking whether or not they want to support capitalism. And so we can't do the girl boss thing anymore because to be a boss is to be a white supremacist. To be a boss is to embrace individualism, and individualism goes against bimboism. And we want to reject capitalism and embrace the collective. So we can't be bosses anymore. We have to be bimbos now. I cannot believe that we are living in a reality in which a couple of years ago, not too long ago, one of the best sellers on the New York Times bestseller list was called like Girl Boss or something like that. It was about being a girl boss. This is not too long ago. And we've gone from encouraging young women to be bosses to now we're encouraging them to be bimbos. And I understand, man, I like Legally Blonde as much as the next person. I did. I've probably seen that movie more times than I probably should have seen that movie. Just because like on TBS all the time and it replays all day. And, you want to have something on in the background. But that doesn't mean you aspire to be a fucking stupid woman. Are you kidding me? AD and MTV has been trashed since 2010. I'm going to start watching MTV. I'm going to start watching MTV News. I'm serious. After this, I want to see what else they're saying.
And Gen Z bimbos are rejecting preconceived notions that they need to be a productive member of society with high worker value.
Gen Z bimbo. I know I'm just repeating what she's saying just because I'm continually flabbergasted. Gen Z bimbos are rejecting the notion that you need to be a productive member of society and have high worker value. They're literally telling young women that they should not aspire to have value in the workplace.
Arielle Richards wrote in Vice that for many feminists whose coming of age was centered around girl bossification, bimboism represents a shift towards finding empowerment by simply refusing to participate. Online bimbos say that if not being ambitious equals being dumb, then it. That's what they are.
If not being a girl boss means that I'm perceived as dumb, well, I don't really care. Actual feminists are rolling over in their grave. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous.
So many of us have stories about being put in appearance-based boxes.
And now you're encouraging it. Now you're encouraging it. You're literally encouraging them to put women in appearance-based boxes. That is part of what a bimbo is. A bimbo is literally in an appearance-based box. That's what it is. You are literally encouraging people to put women in appearance-based boxes.
And my big break as a journalist was hosting a documentary series for Playboy focusing on drug trafficking. But because of how I looked and who I was working for, people didn't believe that I was actually a reporter investigating hard narcotics.
Gee, I can't imagine. I can't imagine how people didn't believe you were a serious journalist when you're talking about embracing being dumb as a means of fighting capitalism. I cannot possibly imagine how people did not take you seriously as a journalist. Guys, pro tip, if your goal is to be embraced for being dumb, which is the very definition of what a bimbo is, if your goal is to be loved for being dumb and you don't care if people think that you're dumb, then don't expect people to take you seriously. That's not how that works. Incognito said, and these same people want free money. Oh yeah, these same people want all their college debt forgiven. I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of, okay, I won't admit this anywhere other than with you guys. I won't. But I'm kind of on the forgive college debt bandwagon because I'm kind of like, if we're gonna descend into a socialist utopia anyway, if it's gonna happen anyway, I want my free shit too. I want free stuff. I'm in favor of it. Like, it's an unprincipled position, and I'm hyper aware that it's an unprincipled position. But I would really like my college debt forgiven. That'd be pretty rad. AD says, if they do not participate in the economy, they are not contributing to the taxpayer dollars used to pay for social programs to help the poor and people of color. How dare these classist, racist donut holes? Exactly. Well, they don't understand that, though, because they don't understand how budgeting works because they're dumb. And I'm not, like, they're putting that label on themselves. M169 says MTB should be paying more female forward-fronted metal for some perspectives. See Floor Jansen of Nightwish or Simone Simmons of Epica. Okay. I don't know either of them, but I will take your word for it, M169. And Sam says, how much of MTV's money is from the CCP? That is a great question. That is a great question.
That I would stick to soft news or wasn't built for dangerous on-the-ground coverage. Up until recently, many viewed bimboism as anti-feminist because of the perception that it prioritized the male gaze and that these women dumbed themselves down and changed their appearance to be attractive to men.
You literally said less than 1 minute ago that these women are perfectly okay if they're perceived as dumb. You literally said that less than 1 minute ago. That you are perfectly fine if they were perceived as dumb. You can't have it both ways. Either you want to be perceived as dumb or you want to be perceived as serious. I'm not sure what any of this has to do with fighting capitalism, but if you are proactively trying to be perceived as dumb, then don't be upset when you're perceived as dumb.
The word was an insult, and other women saw bimbos as both the ideal and the competition for male attention. And yet, as much as famous bimbos were propped up for their looks, there was a misogynistic cultural obsession with tearing them down. And today, a lot of iconic bimbos are finally getting justice in the court of public opinion because so often in the court of law, they were deprived of it, especially when it comes to rape culture.
Oh, God.
When 90s icon Pamela Anderson and her husband Tommy Lee's sex tape was stolen and distributed, Pam was victim blamed because she'd shown her body in photo shoots throughout her career. And the question,
Listen, I'm going to be honest. I don't believe for one red second that it was an accident that sex tape got out. It is never an accident when a celebrity sex tape gets out. It is never. They proactively release those fucking tapes to help their careers. Does anyone actually believe that it was an accident that Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee's sex tape got out? I don't. Come on. All right, I want to go to the poll in the chat. 88% of you did not believe that our illustrious Supreme Court nominee actually cried. There were fake tears. Again, at a Supreme Court nomination hearing. That's pretty overwhelming. I'm going to have to go with the poll on that one. Yeah, I don't believe for one red second that any celebrity sex tape is always deliberately leaked. Every single one.
Was she wearing is a chilling reminder of how many women's assaults and violations have been downplayed because of their appearance. And the pervasive idea that a woman could be, quote, asking for it when it comes to sexual assault.
That is not actually the same thing as filming a sex tape and then covertly releasing that sex tape to the public in order to get attention. This is shit like this. Okay, I just got really mad. I didn't watch this whole video through when I found it earlier. I just watched the first part. So I'm seeing all this stuff for the first time. It infuriates me. Infuriates me. When people equate something like filming a sex tape, which is something they all consented to. And again, I maintain my position. I think that was purposefully released. I don't think that was an accident. So they all consented to that too. And to equate that with being assaulted, please. This is why people don't take the assaulting of women seriously. This right here
stems from the perception that attractive women are just objects. Today,
you're literally marketing yourself as an object. You are literally proactively marketing yourself as an object.
Pop culture is beginning to see women as multifaceted human beings.
Yes. Yes. You know what screams to me multifaceted human being? You know what absolutely screams multifaceted human being? Wearing a fucking S&M mask at an award show. This to me just screams multifaceted human being when you wear a rubber mask to an award show.
Human beings, something that was not previously part of the bimbo stereotype. Shows like Pam and Tommy and Impeachment, American Crime Story are forcing people to rethink how women like Anderson and Monica Lewinsky were persecuted for their sexuality, unlike their male counterparts. And in January, the secrets of...
I'm reasonably certain that conservatives would have absolutely loved if Bill Clinton was persecuted for that particular blowjob.
Playboy documentary series allowed for some of the most famous bimbos like Holly Madison to reveal the exploitative cult-like abuse she and others endured under Hugh Hefner's tenure.
Come on. Come on. All of those women voluntarily chose to live at the Playboy Mansion with Hugh. Wasn't Holly like married to him or something? Didn't she get married to him? And then she's going to turn around and say, he exploited me. I don't believe it for one red second. Joshua and I have actually psychicked this on the show. We don't believe this for one red second. No way.
And amid this new wave of bimboism, shows like Selling Sunset portray successful business women who dress like Barbies and make 5- and 6-figure commissions unapologetically.
But I thought we were fighting capitalism. I thought that this was all about fighting capitalism. So is it about buying clothes? Because you guys understand that buying clothes is an act of capitalism, right? It's about buying jewelry and getting our hair done. Because you understand that's capitalism too, right? And making 5- and 6 figures while being a proactive girl boss is capitalism. So I thought that this was about fighting capitalism, but apparently we can't even make a 5-minute clip with any internal consistency at all. That's what a serious journalist this woman is. She's so serious that within a 5-fucking-minute clip, she's contradicting her own initial argument. Wonderful editing. Well done. But she has a pretty dress and she looks nice, so that's really all that matters because it's about bimbos.
And pop music is having a major surge of hyperfem girl power bubblegum poppiness with artists like Kim Petras and Doja Cat. And many are confusing bimboism with encouraging stupidity.
Gee, I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why, when you literally said earlier in the video that they don't care if they're perceived as dumb.
Really, the movement is encouraging self-happiness and propping up others. You don't need to be exceptional at anything.
You can be exceptional about nothing and still be happy. You don't need to be special. You don't need to stand out. All you need is a pretty dress and some lipstick, and you can be completely unexceptional and still be happy. Because this is a movement about self-love, but not individualism. It's about the collective. If we love ourselves more, we will lift up the collective. None of what I said just made sense. But that's literally what this fucking video is saying. You don't need to be exceptional at anything.
You just need to be yourself. I'm Yunj Kim, and that's what you need to know.
Well, does everyone feel smarter for having watched that video? Does everyone feel that their lives were made better for having explored that journey into bimboism? Does everyone feel good about that? Does everyone feel good about the future of feminism in this country, which is about acting stupid and apparently fighting capitalism, but not really, because you're still buying dresses and makeup and does everyone feel good about the future of humanity? How many people did I just blackpill in the chat? We're going to be watching a lot more MTV News. I'll tell you what. We're going to say that the fact that this showed up in my feed is an act of God. It was a gift. It was the universe telling us, you need to pay attention to what's going on MTV because it's even crazier than this critical race theory bullshit that you were talking about. Yes, I feel good about the future of cringe. You know, some people say that like we're getting over the wokeism hump. Like we've ascended the mountain of wokeism and now people are starting to understand and they're learning and the woke stuff is just going to go away. No. The woke stuff is not going to go away. The woke stuff is only going to get worse. That video is proof of that. MTV is a driving force in our culture, whether we like it or not. They're showing us what we've got coming. I'm not sure we're ready for it, but okay. It's what we have. We can't leave this earth anytime soon. Guys, if you are scared for the future of humanity, do as Alexandra tells you and mount that like button for us. That is all I have for the show today. Again, I will be live tomorrow at 5 p.m. on my second channel, not on my main channel. I will still be live on Odyssey. I will still be live on Rockfin. I will still be live on Rumble. I will still be live on Getter. I will not be live on my main channel on YouTube because I will be live on my second channel on YouTube. If you are having trouble finding my second channel, what I want you to do right now is go to the community tab in my YouTube. There should be an announcement. It has this image of this video saying we're going live at 5 tomorrow for happy hour, and it has a link right over to Actively Unwoke. It's youtube.com/Actively Unwoke. You're not going to want to miss this one, guys. If you have never attended a happy hour before, I promise you. Fat Studies, this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a great happy hour. If you enjoyed the stream today, I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel. I hope that you will consider turning on notifications. I hope that you will mount that like button for me. And I really hope that you will join me in my locals community because my locals is the best place on the internet. We don't do any of this bimbo bullshit. We don't do any of that. We commiserate when we see nonsense like that. We complain about it. We support each other through these insane times. It is the most sane place on the entire interwebs. You can become a member for $5 a month. You can do it for $45 a year just for right now, just for 2 more days. And then it's going back up to $50 a year on Sunday. You can also make a one-time gift if you want to support the work I do. And when you join my locals, you're going to get access to 2 community Zoom calls every single week. On Mondays and Wednesdays. You're going to get access to Bitchcraft on the second Saturday of every month. You're going to get access to our book club on Saturdays. We do these basically on a monthly basis. We read a book. Sometimes I bring the author in. Sometimes we just have a discussion. We're having our next book club on Saturday. You still have time to read the book. You're also going to get access to the writers group in my community, my supporter Discord. The writers group is actually going on right now. You could actually head over to kb.locals.com/support right now. Sign up. Go to the top. Go look for this picture at the top of my locals. In the comments, there's a link to join the Discord. You're going to want to join the Discord in order to join the writers group that's going on right now. If you have other creative stuff you want to do, you can talk about that as well. But I'm really looking forward to being a part of that group, and I'm looking forward to interacting with them. And that's all I have for right now, guys. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. on my second channel. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.